Good evening. I call this meeting of the Pinellas County School Board, July 30, 2024, to order. We will begin with an invocation led by Reverend Kenneth Irby, pastor of the historic Bethel African Methodist Episcopal Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Vice Chair Carol Cook and the National Anthem. Please stand and remain standing until the conclusion of the National Anthem. Reverend Irby, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. I greet you all. And I want to start with just a quick congratulations and salutations to Superintendent Ken Hendrick, Chair Hines, to the school board, Chief Williams, all the learners, families, and to all the constituents of this august body for your A rating. Can I get a round of applause for that? And now let me invite you to center yourselves and pause as we begin with a word of moral acknowledgement. Lord, hear our prayer. O thou in whose presence our soul takes delight, God, we come as you're the giver of breath. You are the divine creator, a God of many names, and we're here gathered to thank you for your grace and your mercy. In the spirit of the sacred text that reminds us that children are a gift from the Lord. They are a reward from him. Children are born to human families to be like arrows in the warrior's hands. How joyful, it goes on to say, is the school district whose quiver is full of them. So today, this evening, we just ask that you help us to shape and sharpen these arrows to be positive impacts in our community, our country, and the world abroad. In doing so, we pray tonight that you would help us to teach diligently our children the accurate lived history of all our diverse populace, to teach unconditional love and acceptance for every learner and every staff member as the standard, and to teach the audacious launching place that the school is to all children to understand that all things are possible for every human being. Lord, we just simply ask that you continue to cover and protect us in your grace and your blessings. And as we close the prayer, we pray that your protection and your compassionate power will guide and guard the discussions, deliberations, and decisions that this body makes tonight. Ashe, namaste, and amen.
Please be seated. I'd like to note a few things before we continue tonight. First, while you see 6 of us here, we have Ms. Edmond joining us by Zoom. I just want to confirm we have her online. Thumbs up. Okay, thank you very much. And so it will be 7. And then also tonight, there is a time-certain budget hearing at 6:30 p.m. So even if the regular school board meeting is continuing to go on, or we're in public comment of the regular school board meeting, we will pause that meeting, have the public hearing for the budget at the time certain 6:30, and then resume. I wanted to let you know that. Also, if the school board meeting were to be over quickly by 6 p.m., let's say, we would still just wait until 6:30 to start that budget hearing. Wanted to mention those couple of administrative things. And then also, we did receive some incredibly good news this past week that Reverend Irby mentioned for us, and our school board definitely also wants to publicly praise, thank, and congratulate this school district on that incredible achievement. Every single teacher in every single classroom, every single support staff, anybody interacting with our children, but even if you're here at the district office, if you're in our schools, if you're at Walter Parnell, if you're at the bus compounds, wherever you are, every single one of you contributed to this success. And I want to say it is because of every one of you and your steadfast devotion to that mission that we have, that vision of 100% student success. It takes every day steadfast devotion to that for Pinellas County Schools to, for the first time, have been named an A district by the Florida Department of Education. So congratulations and thank you so much. Mr. Hendrick, I do just want to say, on behalf of the school board, to you and your team of 14,000 people, well done and well deserved, and let's keep it up. Thank you so much. Our next item is a video we will share with you. We welcomed a little more than 300 new teachers to Pinellas County last week through Embrace Pinellas. Let's take a look at that.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Embrace Pinellas. We're going to check out one of the colored tables.
We're bringing all of our new teachers together today here at Osceola High School. We will have a kickoff with Mr. Hendrick this morning as he welcomes our new teachers.
We've all been first-year teachers. Everybody's here to support you.
This is the first time our employees are really here working today, and we want them to feel valued. We want them to know that we have high expectations in Pinellas County Schools, that they're going to be supported, and that we look for academic excellence.
We want them to walk out of this whole week's experience feeling confident and ready to start their year with their new students, but also to have an understanding of our core values, our vision and our mission in our district so that they can work right alongside our veteran teachers.
It's definitely giving me a lot of new perspectives. I just was doing an activity where I was working with someone else at the elementary level and then middle and high school. And it's kind of cool to get to see all of us work together and bring new perspectives. I feel like I'm going to be entering with a lot of new knowledge, and I just feel really prepared. And like I always wanted to teach, already kind of thinking I wanted to work for Pinellas County Schools, and then being back right now at my old high school is like so crazy and really surreal, and I feel way bigger than I used to.
It's cool to get to come back here.
Embrace was a good way to get your foot in the door and to think about the core values. The first 3 lessons were all on the core values, and how do the core values go about doing your job on a daily basis. So, I mean, you thought about integrity, you thought about responsibility, you thought about that. This puts them in your front of your brain.
This has been a great conference here, the training, especially when our superintendent, when he spoke and he talked about knowing your strengths and knowing things that you're good at and focusing in those areas. Talking to some of the people at my table, they came from other districts and they say they did not have this opportunity. This is one reason why I'm back in Pinellas, because I know it's a great district. I know they provide professional development training that makes sure we're the best teachers and the best educators that we can be to meet our students' needs.
Excellent. That was a very energetic morning. It was wonderful to be there, along with several board members that joined also. The next item, introduction of professional and community organization representatives. Isabel Mascarenas, our public information officer.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Mr. Hendrick, and staff. It is my pleasure to introduce the following representatives of community and professional organizations. From the Pinellas Classroom Teachers Association, Lee Bryant, President. And from the Pinellas Arts for a Complete Education Coalition, Sue Castleman. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Amendments to the agenda. Mr. Hendrick, are there any amendments to the agenda?
Madam Chair, there are no amendments this evening.
Thank you. Board members, any amendments? No. May I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Meyer and a second by Mrs. Long. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm not sure. I did not hear Mrs. Edmonds say aye. So do I say 7-0?
I haven't heard her say anything, so maybe we can just do a check to see if she's there. Mrs. Edmond, are you there?
Okay. Passes 6-0. Let the record show. Thank you. And if we get her online, please just let us know. The special order agenda, item 4.1, presentation of Cognia district-wide accreditation renewal. The board is going to be very pleased to go down and be able to take a photo and celebrate this accreditation while Mr. Hendrick and his team introduce it. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And as the board goes down for this presentation, our school district and our schools have had accreditation for many, many years, and in particular, our high schools, so that our diplomas are of value at every college and university in the United States and around the world. And that process has changed over the years, and the name of the accrediting agency has changed over the years. But tonight we're excited to have a representative from Cognia, who is the current accreditation agency. Many are familiar with the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools, or SACS-CASE, which it was known as for so long. But here we have tonight our representative. And so to start the presentation, I'd like to introduce our Chief Strategy and Impact Officer, Ms. Jennifer Dull, who's going to walk us through the presentation. Ms. Dull?
Thank you, Mr. Hendrick, and thank you, board, and our community for being here, because this award is on behalf of our entire system. So the commitment for continuous improvement is obviously seen, and we talked a little bit about tonight in the A district, and that does not come by accident. That comes with high expectations for excellence, and achieving accreditation is not a single action or review or one day or one process by which it denotes what a district is. It's truly the daily work and how our district will move forward. So the purpose of accreditation, for those of you who are not as up on it, it's a quality assurance process that benchmarks a district against international standards. It honors our schools and districts for sustained exemplary commitment to continuous improvement and our learners' outcomes. It utilizes research and evidence-based criteria for continuous improvement, and it ensures our diplomas are accredited worldwide. So continuous improvement is embedded in how we do the work here in Pinellas County Schools, both by our board, our leadership, and all the way to our teachers and everyone. Our strategic planning and policy department is in charge of the actual process by which we go through this. That is not a once a year type of process. It is something we do ongoing. So I'd like to thank Leanna Eisen for her leadership of that department and invite her to share a little bit about how the district went through accreditation for this renewal.
We have so much to celebrate together this evening, and so I'm proud to be here to share this exciting recognition with each of you on behalf of my team, our accreditation committees, and all of our district school-based leaders and staff. PCS was originally awarded district accreditation in 2015. And this year, following an intensive external review of our 88-page self-assessment, which formally included an additional 85 pieces of evidence and a virtual presentation with the district leadership team, Cognia's external evaluators recommended PCS for renewed accreditation status and requested to use our district presentation as an exemplar. On June 27th, 2024, the Cognia Global Commission agreed with the evaluator's recommendation and awarded PCS accredited status. While the strategic planning and policy team organized and led the accreditation effort, we did not do it alone. We engaged every school principal and our school board members, and we facilitated 4 accreditation committees that included 61 staff members who represented staff and administrators from a wide variety of schools and departments. 60% of those committee members were school-based staff. Each of the committee members rated an assigned set of standards independently, provided evidence to support their rating based on their experience and their role in the district. And then they came together as a committee and discussed each of their ratings and evidence and came to a consensus rating for each of the standards for that committee. I want to thank you, board members and Superintendent Hendrick and staff, because 1 year ago, together, we designed a district strategic plan that the evaluators highlighted as a noteworthy practice. Not only that, but the priorities in our strategic plan also align with the areas for improvement that were identified by the external reviewers. While we achieved accreditation, we're not done yet. I'm sorry. This is like my passion, and we joke about it all the time publicly, but this really is accreditation is my personal passion. But we are not done yet. We're utilizing this feedback to continue to implement our strategic plan and to identify what our next strategic initiatives are to make sure that we do attain 100% student success. Now, I want to introduce Dr. Jessica Swear, who is the Southeast Regional Director, who will tell us a little bit about Cognia and a little bit about the evaluator's perception of PCS.
Thank you, guys. Good evening, Superintendent Hendrick, Cabinet, board members, district staff, student families, and community members. It just warms my heart to see the passion that we have here in your district for strategic planning and continuous improvement. And I tried not to get teary-eyed myself because I'm a little empathetic type person that cries when people cry. Wanted to tell you a little bit about Cognia. And I also wanted to really go over, Leanna spoke about some of the pride points with your practices in this district, but I really would like to take this opportunity amongst all of you and community and all the stakeholders that are here to really specifically tell you about what those points of pride are that were noted in the report, because I think that's really important for you guys to hear. So Cognia, we are a global nonprofit organization, and we've been around for 128 years, and we have schools and districts across the United States as well as 92 countries. And in fact, in Florida alone, we have one of the largest networks of members in the state of Florida, with over 4,200 members of districts, schools across our beautiful state. So, you know, as we said here, you know, accreditation really is pivotal to leveraging education quality and continuous improvement. And as Leanna mentioned, you know, we have a set of rigorous standards that are reviewed, and it's really an opportunity not only for districts to self-assess where they're at and their journey of continuous improvement and where they're going, but also to involve, you know, there's so many different stakeholder groups involved in this process. Your evaluator that worked with you guys and the team was Virginia Massey, and as you know, along with your amazing grade for your district, it makes sense, right, that everything that you're doing with continuous improvement meshes with that. So I just wanted to take a moment to tell you guys and just kind of like brag about you for a minute with these noteworthy practices and exactly how they were laid out in the report, so the community can really come together and just celebrate this achievement for you guys for Pinellas County. So they complemented your strategic plan and the way it's designed. They said it's designed to maximize continuous improvement processes in a learner-centered, equity-embedded culture of learning. Documentation of district initiatives focuses on support of the 4 identified goals within the strategic plan, with each initiative being monitored, analyzed, and evaluated with system-wide processes for effectiveness and impact on learning. So that, just want to applaud you guys. That's amazing work. The second noteworthy practice that was cited in this report is that district leadership is committed to enhancing curriculum design and the utilization of data coupled with the consideration of other information to address student needs, foster dynamic and impactful learning environments. Curriculum oversight reflects a clear understanding of current educational trends and the use of data analytics to develop appropriate initiatives, strategies, and interventions to enhance learner educational experiences and showcase a strategic approach to continuous improvement. So I applaud you for that, and I hope that you guys celebrate this along with your district grade, and I just congratulate you for this esteemed accomplishment. We celebrate your success, and we applaud your continued focus on improvement and strategies, making data-driven decisions. And I just thank you for allowing me to join you to celebrate this success. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the presentation. And we are so excited to have that accreditation for our students in our district. And the board will make its back up to the dais, and we'll continue with the meeting.
Wonderful. Amazing to see that passion and interest. I love it, and that is why we're thriving and excelling. Before we get started, Mrs. Edmond, I wanted to check if you're with us. Mrs. Edmond? Okay. We thought she was back on. There must be some kind of technical difficulty. We're going to go ahead and continue. The next item is public comments on our agenda items. Mrs. Hauk, do we have any speakers to agenda items today?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Members of the public have 3 separate opportunities to address the board when we gather for our business meetings. The first is public comment on agenda items. The second is at public hearings, most of which are policies. And the last is after our meeting when speakers may address the general business of the district. At each opportunity for public input, board members are here to listen to you. This is not a time for interaction, but the board will take your comments into consideration before it votes on the agenda items. The board is committed to a standard of civility and decorum in conducting our meetings. This includes refraining from clapping or making audible noises during or after a speaker's comments. We appreciate you in assisting us in maintaining a civil and constructive environment. Lastly, please note that this meeting and all public comments will be broadcast live on the internet, and the video will be publicly archived. Members of the public may always communicate with the board through our email address, board@pcsb.org, or by calling the board office at 588-6300. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, board members, and Mr. Hendrick. Our speaker tonight is Mark Clutho. He is speaking to items 7.15 and 7.16.
Mark Clutho, Largo, 7.15. $64 million, and this is supposed to be a decrease by $14 million. Holy cow. Yeah. That's, unbelievable. Clearwater High School. That's where you have that building oriented incorrectly with all that glass facing the west way. Can't get any more wrong than that. In 716, decrease by 7.9 million to $35,560,000. That's at Tyrone Middle. You just won't get them right. Yeah, Winston Churchill said we shape our buildings, thereafter they shape us. Said that in 1960. So we have that old cause and effect thing. When you make these stupid buildings, and the sad fact is I don't even need to look at your plans to know more debacles. More debacles. The headline from last week, world breaks hottest day record again. Could the Gulf Stream be near a tipping point? Higher electric rates feared. Yeah, puke energy will do it to you. March 10th month in a row with record heat, scientists say. See, you won't address the issue of the planet cooking, applying the science of high-performance passive solar building. I've been bringing it more than 2 decades. More to come.
There are no more speakers, Madam Chair.
Thank you. We don't have any unfinished business this evening. Item 7, our consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve? Thank you. A motion from Mrs. Long and a second from Mrs. Peters to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes 6-0. Item 8.1, approval of the 2024-25 mental health assistance allocation plan. May I have a motion to approve? A motion by Mrs. Cook and a second by Mrs. Long. Mr. Hendrick, would you please introduce this item?
Thank you, Madam Chair. As the board remembers, we workshopped this item just a week ago to share not only about this plan, but all of the services that we provide to support students around mental health in our district. And here to give a summary to the board and to the public about this plan and some of our work is our Executive Director of Student Services, Donna Sicilian. Ms. Sicilian.
Thank you. Good evening, Chairperson Hines, school board members, Superintendent Hendricks, and staff. It's my pleasure to come in front of you this evening and ask your approval for the 24-25 mental health assistance allocation plan that is due to the state on August 1st. So pending your approval, I will head back over to my office and upload it so that we will be early and on time. Just as some reminders of what we talked about last week, this is the 5th year that the state of Florida has set aside funding specific to districts for use to above and beyond for mental health services to students. So the plan that you see before you, as Superintendent Hendricks said, is only what we are paying for with that little over $5 million. We did talk at the workshop last week about the more expansive work that we do within our district around supporting the mental well-being of our students and our staff. So what you have here is what we will pay for with the $5 million. $5,000,000.25. It's important. 0.25 is a lot. So our plan that you have before you exceeds the expectations of the state for this allocation. And as a reminder, it includes providing training for students and for adults. It includes utilizing evidence-based practices across all of the tiers, increasing students' access to mental health professionals inside of schools, and then partnering with community providers within the agency, community agencies within our community. So I just wanted to have a moment to kind of refresh you on what we talked about last week and to ask you to approve the plan and to thank you for your support. We do this well, and we do so much more because of your support, both financially and in every other way. And our students come to us with great needs that are always increasing. And so I think it's very important that we work with our families and guardians to ensure that our students have mental health and well-being so that they can learn. We support their learning, and we link them to services in the community as needed and with parental permission and consent.
Thank you, Mrs. Sicilian. Board members, is there any discussion? As you mentioned, the need is increasing. We all feel it, we all see it, whether it's in our schools, in our homes, or in our community. But thanks to you and Chief Long and your team and everyone here at Pinellas County Schools, we are meeting those needs, and as well as those community partnerships that we've developed over the course of many years now, and people joining us in that support of children. So thank you, Donna. And anybody who has any questions, again, you can find the plan online, and a lot of good information shared in last week's school board workshop. So if this topic is of interest to you, which I know it is to many, I encourage you to look up that information. It's really extraordinary. With that said, seeing no other discussion, we have a motion on the floor to approve. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 8.2, request approval of the 2025-26 instructional calendar and special observance days. 2025-26, this is next year. Just want to make sure everybody knows that. We already have this year's calendar in place. May I have a motion to approve 8.2? Motion by Mrs. Meyer and a second by Mrs. Long. Mr. Hendrick, would you please introduce this item?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've called up our Chief Human Resources Officer, Ms. Texel, and before she begins, I'll steal some of her thunder, I'm sure, but I do want to thank the different groups who participate in this, including a school board member representative, our unions, we have students, we have parents, we have faith-based organizations who all contribute and give us feedback. And so with that, Ms. Texel will share the proposed calendar for 25-26.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Madam Chair, school board members, Mr. Hendrick, and staff. I am here to present the recommendation for the 2025-2026 instructional calendar and special observance days. And as Mr. Hendrick just mentioned, the committee was made up of a multitude of stakeholder groups, and we're very appreciative of their feedback and input throughout this process. The committee members met several times and were able to go back and solicit feedback from their stakeholder groups, which then they brought back and shared that input with the committee. I wanted to just highlight a few of the proposed calendar dates for this, just to put those questions about when is school starting and when is school ending. So I'm just going to run through a few of the highlights in this calendar. A start date for instructional staff on Friday, August 1st, 2025, and school start date for students on Monday, August 11th, 2025. And just a reminder that we are not permitted to begin our school year until August 10th of every school year, so I just always like to repeat that. There are 6 days of pre-planning for our 10-month teachers, a Thanksgiving break from November 22nd through November 30th, a winter break from December 20th through Sunday, January 4th, 2026. First semester exams will once again, according to this calendar, be administered prior to winter break. We do have 87 days in our first semester, 93 days in our second semester. We have a spring break scheduled for March 14th through March 22nd.
a school ending date for students on Thursday, May 28th, 2026, and Friday, May 29th for our 10-month instructional staff. As you'll notice on the calendars, there are potential hurricane makeup days, and we always say that we hopefully will not have to utilize those. And those dates are noted throughout the calendar. We continue to be able to provide our students, again, with a maximum number of days to complete the required testing. That does fall in the month of May, and this will allow that to take place. And we are pleased to be able to bring this calendar to you here today at the end of July. As you know, on the first day of school, that phone always rings, and I do have people wondering, when is school starting in 2025? So I will be very happy to be able to give them that information. And again, if approved tonight, we will go ahead and make sure that these get put together and be able to be on our website for families and community to know that. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you, Mrs. Texel. Board members, is there any discussion? Seeing none, we have a motion on the floor to approve item 8.2. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes 6-0. New business, items introduced by the superintendent, Mr. Hendrick.
Thank you, Mrs. Hine, and I thought you shared very well the excitement of the A District and how proud we are. I want to add just a few more notes to that, and that is that no students take tests here in this building and no school is in this building. All of the work happens in our schools, and we are so proud of the school grades that our schools achieved. 55 of our schools earned A's. That's 48% of all the schools in the district. 40 earned B's, and just 20 had a C. No D's, no F's for the first time in over 15 years. 83% of Pinellas County Public Schools are A and B schools. That is a tremendous amount to be proud of. But what it also represents is increases in student proficiency, and what that means for individual children when they can read at grade level in third grade, and what it means for their potential to graduate high school and go to college, and the earnings potential that that translates into for their families in this community is immeasurable. And so while we're proud as a district to have that, we're more excited for what it means individually to each and every student in this district. I want to, like Mrs. Hine did, congratulate each and every employee in the district, and I cannot tell you how many emails I've received. I've tried to respond to every one from our employees because they are proud. They are proud to be with an A district, and to that end, I want to congratulate our school board. There's never been another school board in this district's history that can say they are an A district as a school board member, and the 7 of you made that happen, so congratulations to each of you. But mostly, I want to say thank you to the community. We have had so many individuals reach out to the board, to me, to school principals, to say how proud they are to be associated with a community with a world-class school system. And our community deserves that. They expect that, and we need to continue to deliver that to them. And so thank you to our community, especially to the Pinellas Education Foundation and their group that continues to push us forward. As you mentioned, Embrace Pinellas, we saw the video last week. I wanted to give a quick update on teacher vacancies. As of today, 67 instructional vacancies that we continue to try to fill. That's about half as many as last year. We had about 140. And we continue to fill those, and we will do that up until the first day of school. But with Embrace Pinellas means, guess what? School starts soon. Teachers return to work. Yes, Mr. Bryant and teachers, we return to work on Friday, and we're excited to welcome our teachers back, and they will be celebrating their great results as schools. It also means we've wrapped up our summer camps. We had a few more wrap up. About 3,000 students attended summer camp with us after Summer Bridge this year, and we're excited. I want to also thank our plant operations and maintenance staff as they get the final preparations for our schools to be ready, air conditioners, everything in place. We had a few schools finishing up construction projects, and those will be ready to go. And for our families, they can receive the latest back-to-school information on our website. You'll see the banner scrolling across, and if you click on that, it has information, everything you want to know about the school year. From back-to-school clinics, where you can get those physicals that you need to have for the school year, from forms, breakfast and lunch programs, bus information, policies on our cell phone and dress code, every way to get engaged, new student registration, how to update your parent password if you forgot it, resources to power up learning this year, and much, much more. So check out our website for that information. And as we celebrate our district grade, we also want to wish best of luck to the 6 individual graduates of Pinellas County Schools who are Olympians and competing up for the United States right now. And one of them this afternoon, I don't want to ruin your evening if you're going home to watch it, Bobby Fink, Countryside High School graduate, won the silver medal this afternoon in the 800 freestyle. I want to end tonight by celebrating our Superintendent Standout, one of our employees demonstrating those core values. And tonight's Superintendent Standout is Mr. Corey Baker, the night foreman at Clearwater Adult Education Center. Mr. Baker has worked for Pinellas County Schools for 6 years, and a colleague noted how appreciative they are for him being welcoming, kind, and helpful, going above and beyond to support an operation and training at Clearview Adult just a few weeks ago. Thank you for taking pride in your work and your willingness to help us as the new team coming into your school. This PCS praise is just a thank you for your effort to show that we appreciate you and the core values you represent. Thank you, Mr. Baker, and all of our employees for the work they do each and every day.
Thank you, Mr. Hendrick. Items introduced by the school board attorney.
I have no items this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Items introduced by the board. Mrs. Meyer?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to quickly say how proud I am to be a part of this district, a part of this board. We have so much to be celebrating right now, and it's really exciting going into the new school year. Also being able to celebrate this A for our district. So I want to welcome our teachers and our staff back to school. They'll be returning this Friday. Just very exciting, right, to start on such a high note. And I also want to thank Mr. Hendrick and his team for their excellent leadership. I'm so grateful to work with you, and I think I speak for everyone here as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Mrs. Kane?
Thank you so much, Mrs. Meyer. I want to echo a lot of what she just said. I was not going to talk tonight, but I really feel inclined that I should, and I want to thank everyone in the district for just the incredible lift, incredible work. Thank you, Mr. Hendrick, for all of your hard work, and Ms. Woodford. She's an incredible lady too, who has done so many. You've brought a lot of schools. I mean, honestly, I want to mention her because she brought Lakewood a couple years ago all the way up to an A school, and so incredible. Those things inspire me to hear from. We saw so many principals and teachers yesterday coming back to school, getting ready for the new year, and so many of them have done just amazing things that really should be highlighted because it is a heavy lift. I took a moment last week when the results came out to just look, where have we come in such a short time, that I have had the privilege and honor of serving the community at Pinellas County Schools. And just 5.5 short years ago, we had 12 D and F schools and over 50 C schools. And to see those numbers come in is an incredible lift in just 5 years. And through COVID, through everything that we have all been through as a community, I just think Pinellas County should be so proud of its school district for this amazing achievement. It is unbelievable, and I am so proud of all of the teachers, the administrators, the students, everyone who has pulled together in this incredible times to work on this and to make our school system one of the best, because we live in one of the best counties in the state of Florida. And as I have said before, we should have the best school system in the state of Florida too, and we will. And I know we will because we have incredible leadership, so thank you all.
Thank you, Lisa. Well said. Any other reports from board members? I would just mention it is the new school year. Keith Masterides, I did my forms today online, worked great. So parents, you can get on, you can fill out your registration forms. Much easier, smoother, clearer than the big packets. Good job, Keith. I also, as a treasurer of a PTA in one of our middle schools, I want to remind everybody you have to rejoin your PTA every year. So go ahead and do that. Get on and rejoin your PTA at your schools. And you don't have to be a parent or a teacher or a student to be in the PTA. If you're a community member, you can join your local school's PTA as well. And with schools starting and all that community involvement that has helped us achieve the way we have, I just want to encourage everybody, go just show up at the school that's closest to your house. I bet you have a school within 2 miles of your home. Within a couple miles, and you can just show up and say, what can I do for you? And it can be according to your schedule. Maybe the morning's better, maybe the night's better, whatever it might be. But our students need mentors, and our teachers love the support in their classrooms. So certainly please join us as this new school year gets going. I'm very excited to start school. Any board requests, Mrs. Woodford?
Madam Chair, I did not note any board requests.
Okay, thank you. So as a
Madam
reminder,
Chair, I excuse me for the interruption. Just before you move on, we received a note. Just want to let you know that Ms. Edmond has been on. She has been able to hear the entire board meeting and is following along. Will continue to do so, but just having technical difficulties having us hear her.
excellent, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. As a reminder, we will start our budget hearing at 6:30. So we will adjourn this meeting and then be back at 6:30 for that budget hearing. So seeing no other business, I adjourn this meeting. Thank you for being here. Public comment, excuse me, we'll move into public comment. Mrs. Hauk, do we have speakers this evening?
Yes, Madam Chair, we do. We have 7 speakers this evening.
Thank you. So we're now receiving public comment on general business of the district. Please note that the views and comments of the public speakers are their own and are not endorsed nor sponsored by the school board or district. We cannot ensure accuracy of statements that are made, but will review concerns that are raised and take appropriate action, which may include clarifications or the referral of speakers to the proper staff member for assistance. The board is committed to a standard of civility and decorum in conducting our meetings. This includes refraining from clapping or making audible noises during or after a speaker's comments. Additionally, please note that although board members or Superintendent Hendrick may leave the dais briefly, there are speakers in the back room, and we will continue to be able to hear your comments. Thank you. Mrs. Hauk.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The first 2 speakers are Brant Robinson and Tim Conroy.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Superintendent Hendrick, and staff. My name is Brant Robinson, and I have to tell you, I want to echo the sentiments that you guys have shared tonight, and congratulations for all of our success. I'm super excited because I'm heading back to school on Friday to start my 28th year teaching history and social studies here in Florida. I'm starting at a brand new school, Pinellas High Innovation, and I'll certainly keep you updated on that exciting front for me. So I'm here to make a recommendation. I'm here to make a suggestion. And I want to thank you guys for entertaining it. Before I do, I want you guys to practice nodding. I'm looking at you. I hope you're nodding. One of the things I tell my students a lot is, guys, I want you to nod with me even if you don't know. So everybody nod with me. You know, every teacher in this building knows, every teacher watching knows that there are 2 things that all of us know about teaching. The first is that we always have to build and maintain outstanding relationships with our students, right? No pressure. But the other thing that all teachers know we do every day in our classroom is we're always assessing our students with a little a. We're always watching, checking for understanding, making sure they're really learning. We do that all the time, just like great coaches do. And I say that because that's essential to us being able to modify and adjust our instruction so we know what we need to do to make sure that our students are successful. I want you to think about that as we go forward with the school year, because my suggestion is this. We know we're still committed to restorative practice. We understand budget constraints have cut the size and the organizational ability and capacity of our district. We still have people committed to restorative practice. But what I want to suggest is something simple. Could you, Superintendent Hendrick, instruct all of the principals at the very first faculty meeting? Imagine if at the first faculty meeting, every principal simply asked all of the teachers and all the support professionals how they're doing. At the very first faculty meeting, simply ask everybody for their input. Ask them how they're doing. What kind of concerns and needs do they have? And how wonderful would that be in sending a message and modeling the foundational principle of restorative practice? And again, nod with me, even if you don't know, the foundational principle of restorative practice is called fair process. It's about validating people that you work with. So it's both top down and bottom up. Imagine if you did that at the first faculty meeting. What would all the teachers in the county be saying? And then you take that feedback, and what does that do? It helps drive the second faculty meeting. So now your teachers and your support professionals know that their input is actually important, they're being validated, and it's being used as we all do to assess with a little a. So guys, thanks so much, and let's have a great start to the year.
My name is Tim Conroy, and I'm a proud member of Indivisible North Pinellas, a nonpartisan organization that supports and values public education. Echoing Reverend Irby and everybody else tonight, I really want to thank school board members for their hard work. Superintendent Hendrick, district staff, administrators, teachers, bus drivers, cafeteria workers, everybody, the volunteers, the mentors, everybody that pitched in and made this achievement happen. It takes everybody in hard work, and we know that. And I thank everyone on this team for creating the high expectations and supportive and effective interventions, choosing research-based curricula and strategies, and working with parents, students, schools, and our unions to achieve this success. While we have made significant strides, we all recognize that there is more to be done. We need to improve the outcomes for all students, bridge gaps and forever close them, hire more job coaches and provide more employment training for students with disabilities. But given the evidence of this progress and achievement, it is imperative that we continue to fully support and vote for any board member who has helped steer and improve policies and procedures to foster this great success. Our continued support for this board is vital.
Mr. Conroy?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Just want to let you know that under our school board policy, you're not allowed to engage in any speech that can be deemed as campaigning. And so you're advocating for the election of certain members who are running to the exclusion of others. So you're not allowed to do that.
Okay, I appreciate that. This success is endorsement for all of y'all's hard work. Let's support this current school board team so we can build on its success. But Superintendent Hendrick, this is to you. Thank you for steering the ship, navigating a demanding course, and constantly reminding us that students are the stars. Thank you, sir.
The next two speakers are Mark Clutho and Carol Robinson.
Mark Clutho Largo, you're sitting at a dais, not a dais. The word is spelled D-A-I-S. Doesn't have two I's. Pathetic. Oh. Seen all kinds of signs out there saying conservative. Well, you know, in the words of that great philosopher John Stuart Mill, although it is true, not all conservatives are stupid, it is true that most conservatives are stupid. Remember that when you vote.
Mr. Clutho, apropos to what I said to the prior speaker, this is not an opportunity to engage in any campaigning, whether it's an individual candidate.
I didn't say who to vote.
No, let me finish. Either an individual candidate or a party. And so
I
this is
didn't
not,
say a party or who to vote for.
you said conservative, and everybody understands what party that would be associated with.
No, they don't.
Okay, so just
Don't
please
put
govern
words
yourself.
in my mouth. Stop the clock. If everybody understood what I was saying, you would have been making high-performance passive solar buildings. And you're not doing that. You're pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. See? The graphs. You'd be catching on to the science. You'd be catching on to the science. Higher electric rates feared. World breaks hottest day record again. Troubling news from the Doomsday Glacier. The big melt is underway. Scientists have uncovered evidence of a vigorous melting at Antarctica's Thwaites Glacier, possibly 10 feet of sea level rise. And here we have Friendly Landscaping launches new award, Natural Recognition. Now see, you're not going to get this anywhere at any of your Pinellas schools. All stupid landscaping that aren't helping the environment, help curbing the burning planet. Oh, it's sad, really sad.
Good evening. My name is Carol Robinson, and I'm a recently retired math and science teacher in Pinellas County, and I'm also a former union representative. But I come here tonight as a parent and grandparent of Pinellas County school children. And as I was investigating one of the magnet programs that one of my grandchildren is interested in attending, I found out that one of the guidance counselors that is assigned to that magnet program had some concerning items attached to their name, severe disciplinary records. And the only reason I knew about this was because I was the union representative at a previous school. This is what I'm asking for tonight, is transparency. The ability to any parent, guardian, or concerned citizen to be able to find out about serious discipline items that might be in a teacher or guidance counselor's file, so a parent or guardian could request another person to mentor or teach their child. Thank you so much.
The next two speakers are Lee Bryant and Tracy McConnell.
Good evening, Chair Hine, members of the board, Superintendent Hendrick, and staff. My name is Lee Bryant. I'm president of PCTA. My pronouns are he, him, and his, and welcome back to the start of the school year. We've been working very hard, getting ready, as have you, and it was really delighted to see that we're an A district. I have been in Pinellas County for 29 years, and it is well-deserved. I can definitely see that we have been on a trend up. And when I was at the Embrace this last week, I pointed out that these teachers that are joining our county have landed at the right place at the right time. And we have nothing but good things ahead of us. PCTA was at the Climate Institute this summer and at Embrace. And we enjoyed the idea that we are a partner with Pinellas County Schools. And as we approach the beginning of the school year, a reminder that this is the contract between PCTA and the Pinellas County Schools, and it says directly in that this agreement constitutes, the official position of the board and for the term of the said agreement. The board empowers the superintendent to execute the terms of the agreement. The superintendent and the union will carry out the commitments contained herein and give them full force and effect. I expect all of the teachers out there to know what's in their contract and follow the rules. And I expect the principals and administrators to also know what's in the contract and follow the rules. The objective of our contract, which goes through the end of this school year, is to coordinate the combined efforts of all concerned towards achieving the best possible education for each student in the county to the maximum of the student's capacity. And that is what we're here for. And that is what we're achieving. A reminder out there for those that do not know, there are many amazing things contained in your contract. It is searchable on our website with a searchable version. It includes things like class sanctity, student discipline, lesson plans, covering classes, your school schedules, all the things that are in there. I have been saying for a little over a year now, alone we can do so little, together we can do so much, and I believe that, and I believe that we are going to achieve much this coming year. Thank you for your time.
My name is Tracy McConnell, and I'm a third grade teacher at the newly A-rated Pinellas Central Elementary. Yay! I am so grateful to be starting off my 20th year in Pinellas. I'm so proud that we are an A district. Great things happen when we all work together to do what is in the best interest of our students. One thing I hope we can continue to improve on is making sure all of our under-the-radar struggling students are able to move through the RTI process. Last year, when I spoke here, Stephanie Long was able to help me get one of my students the ESE services they desperately needed. Once she got her IEP and accommodations, she scored a 2 in reading and a 3 in math. She's going to 4th grade. I know there are more kids just like her across the district. They need someone who is willing to stand up and fight for them. So let us be the ones that do that. Another thing I want you to remember as we go into the new school year is we are an A, right? That A came with a lot of hard work from teachers. Many, just like me, are veterans or legacy teachers. I'm a highly effective teacher and have been for years, but when we get our raises, I always get a lower raise than an annual contract teacher. I understand there are rules in place from the state that govern how our raises are dished out, but those laws are meant to divide us. Although I am highly effective, I never get compensated or recognized for it. Other districts find ways to compensate their veterans. I look forward to a time when I am not looking for some sort of a side quest to make money. You would be amazed how many teachers and support staff have asked me about donating plasma since the last time I spoke. I challenge you to look at things differently and recognize your veterans. After all, we have proven that we're in it for the long haul. Thank you so much.
The next speaker is Justin Lecomte-Reims.
Good evening, board. I want to start off by thanking you for your time, as well as, I should say my name. I'm Justin Lecomte Ramos, a student at Largo High School in their IB program, and I'm here to discuss the topic of book banning. Specifically, we need to do more to protect our teachers. The parents and students having a say in what is and is not appropriate for school is not necessarily a bad thing. However, it is unjust that teachers have to live in fear of losing their teaching license or going to jail because a parent does not want to have their child read a certain material. The teacher is the expert, and we should trust their expertise and decisions they make for the class curriculum. I am not a person of color, nor am I a member of the LGBTQIA+ community, but I grow far greater understanding, and I grow far more enlightened to their experiences through literature. Like I mentioned, I am a student at Largo High School, and I do not feel indoctrinated by the content I have been taught in school. Rather, I feel the curriculum has made me into a more holistic person and a better functioning member of society. Overall, I want to say how proud I am of our school board and the progressive push forward with all their adversity they're facing. But more importantly, how amazing our teachers are at Pinellas County, as well as how we, citizens of Pinellas County, and how you, school board members, should continue to fight for our teachers at all times, and most especially when it's most inconvenient. I yield the remainder of my time to the chair.
There are no more speakers, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Just as a reminder, we'll start the budget hearing at 6:30. It is a time certain meeting. It was in the newspaper, communicated to be 6:30, so you have 28 minutes to enjoy yourselves, and we'll see you back at 6:30. Thank you.
Check.
Because that school, yeah, but with Bobby, and then there's some guys that I would have been, things would have been different.
Mrs. Emmett, can you confirm that you're online?
Yes.
Everybody ready? Good evening.
Good evening.
I call this first public hearing on millage rates and district budget of July 30, 2024 to order. Tonight is the first of two public hearings on the 2024-25 budget. We're here tonight to review the proposed property tax rates and budget for the 2024-25 school year, hear comments from the public, and approve the proposed millage rates and budget. The order of business and actions taken tonight must follow specific directions set forth in the state statutes, and we ask for your cooperation as we go through this legally required format. There will be two opportunities for you to speak this evening. First, you may comment on the proposed millage rates. Second, you may comment on the proposed budget. If you wish to speak, you must register separately for each part of the hearing with a staff member at the entrance to the boardroom. After tonight's hearing, the school board will continue to review the tentative budget. We may make changes or reduce millage rates prior to or during the final public hearing, which is scheduled for September 10, 2024. We cannot raise the millage rate higher than the rate we tentatively set here tonight. On behalf of the school board and the superintendent, I thank each of you for taking the time to be here tonight and share your views with us. Item 2, adoption of the agenda. Mr. Hendrick, are there any amendments to the agenda?
Madam Chair, there are no amendments to the agenda.
Board members? Seeing none, I'll take a motion and a second to adopt the agenda.
Second.
Motion from Mrs. Long and second from Mrs. Edmond. Is that correct? No. Mrs. Kane, excuse me. It was so, yeah, I heard that. Thank you. I said, so, excuse me, let me, oh, well, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 7-0. And if you heard there, while there's 6 of us up here, Mrs. Edmond has joined us by phone and will be participating in the meeting by phone. Thank you for being here, Mrs. Edmond. Moving on to items 3 and 4, Mr. Hendrick and staff will make some introductory comments, and then we'll move right into the presentation of item 4. And then after that, we will hear public comments on item 5. Mr. Hendrick?
Thank you, Madam Chair and board members. I'd like to take the opportunity to thank you for your engagement and interest as we formulated this budget for the 24-25 school year. I know that accountability and transparency are important for each of the board members. You've shared that with us and at the workshop, and we hope that the public sees that in this budget tonight. As you know, our budget is aligned to the district strategic plan that you have set forth, and we brought those to you, and you've approved the plan separately, and then brought the budget to the workshop on June 25th. At the workshop, the budget was detailed, covering each component, and as is past practice, we'll continue to examine all parts of the budget, especially as new student enrollment is finalized in the next couple of weeks. We've added an opportunity for further discussion this year at the request of the board, and that will occur at a workshop on August 13th, in between the first and second public hearings. I want to thank the board again for your participation in this process, not only at the workshop, but also in countless conversations and meetings face-to-face with our Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Jeppesen. At this time, I will now pass it to Mr. Jeppesen and his team for the presentations on truth and millage, or trim, and the budget. Mr. Jeppesen.
Thank you, Mr. Hendrick. As you know, our truth and millage appeared in the Tampa Bay Times this past Sunday. The format for the newspaper ad and the order for tonight's hearing presentations are prescribed by Chapter 200 in the Florida statutes. Based on the board's actions tonight, the Pinellas County Property Appraiser's Office will send out proposed tax notices. These notices will legally indicate the time and place of our second and final public hearing on our millage and budget to be held on Tuesday evening, September 10th, as Ms. Hine mentioned. This proposed budget is based on estimates of the 23-24 year, as this year has not yet been closed. The final budget presented in September will reflect the actual results of the prior fiscal year. At this time, I'll ask Samantha Chastain, Executive Director of Budget and Resource Allocation, to present the tentative millage and budget for the 24-25 fiscal year.
Thank you, Mr. Jeppesen. Good evening, Mr. Hendrick, Madam Chair, board members, and staff. Truth in millage, also referred to as TRIM, requires school districts to advertise their proposed budget and millage rates annually. The district's 24-25 millage is comprised of the general operating millage, which includes the required local effort, discretionary, and local referendum. The Florida Department of Education determines the maximum state required local effort millage rate that must be levied by the school board to generate its local share of the funding for the district. The local referendum of a half mil was initially approved by the voters in 2005-2006 and was approved for the fifth time in 2021 for a four-year period. The proposed millage also includes a 1.5 mils for capital outlay. A mill refers to the rate of property tax commonly paid on the assessed value of the homes and business properties. A mill equates to $1 of taxes for every $1,000 of taxable property value. The rollback rate is the millage rate that would generate the same amount of revenue as last year if applied to the current tax roll after adjusting for new construction. The 24-25 proposed millage of 5.822 is higher than the rollback rate by 4.1%. Pinellas County's gross property tax value of approximately $150 billion is an increase from last year's value by $10.3 billion or 7.4%. The proposed millage rate for the 24-25 fiscal year of 5.822 represents an overall decrease of 1.95% when compared to the 23-24 total millage rate of 5.938. The required local effort millage has decreased by 3.64%. The property tax revenue comparison reflects an increase in revenue of $42 million over last year's proceeds. This is the result of an increase in our property tax value. The required local effort proceeds are increasing by about $14.8 million. The proposed discretionary millage will generate about $7.4 million more. And the referendum will yield an additional $4.9 million, and the capital outlay millage will generate $14.9 million more than last year. Under the proposed millage rate, the owner of a home with an assessed value of $400,000, with consideration for the deduction of the $25,000 homestead exemption, would pay $2,183.25 in school taxes. This averages out to about $5.98 per day. The taxable value of property in Pinellas County reflects an increase of 7.4% for the year. The Florida legislature has set our required local effort, also referred to RLE, to 3.074, which is a decrease from the prior year's RLE of 3.19. Some homeowners may experience an increase in their school taxes as a result of an increase in property value and not an increase to their levied millage rates. Please note that this example does not consider the benefit of the 3% Save Our Homes cap. The RLE is an appropriated amount set by the FLDOE. The school board must levy this amount in order to receive state funding. It is used for the day-to-day operations such as school staff and utilities. The discretionary millage is used for general operation of the district and to meet additional costs due to inflation. Local referendum funds are used to recruit and retain quality teachers, preserve reading, art, and music programs, and provide up-to-date textbooks and technology. The capital outlay millage is the district's primary funding source for maintenance, renovations, new construction, and equipment as advertised on July 28th. At this time, I will turn the meeting back to the board chair to allow for public comment and for the motions necessary to adopt the millage rates.
And Mrs. Hauk, do we have any speakers to item 5?
Yes, excuse me. Yes, Madam Chair, there are 2 speakers for item 5. We have Mark Clutho and Lee Bryant.
Thank you.
Mark Clutho, Largo. Well, you know, the problem is more money is being taken and how it's being spent. You know, all you have to do is listen to what I had to say earlier. It's just money down a big hole. And the hole keeps getting deeper, deeper and deeper. And right at the top here, it says your mission is to educate and prepare each student for college, career, and life. Well, the way things are going, that life is going to be hell. You know, hurricanes are going to get bigger. The planet's going to get hotter. The sea level is going to go up. And you know, you're saying you're lowering the millage rate, but money collected is more because the value of the property is increasing. But what happens when that one hurricane strikes? What's that property worth then? What will you do? You have an alternate plan? I don't think so.
Good evening again, Chair Hine, members of the board, Superintendent Hendrick, and staff. My name is Lee Bryant, President of the PCTA and Executive Director of the PCTA and Head Maintenance Man of the PCTA, Jade Moore Building. I have been in Pinellas County now as a property owner for 34 years. And I understand part of the issues when it comes to millage rates and that some people may not quite understand. The state has the ability to keep widening the hole in the bucket. So no matter how much property values go up, and you would expect the money we have available to keep going up, they have the ability to keep drilling the hole a little bit wider so the more the water flows out. So we don't get the money that we think we should be getting. One of the reasons why we need to seriously work on getting the property tax referendum millage up to a full mill so that we can not just recruit teachers, and we're doing a very good job at recruiting teachers here in Pinellas County, but so we can retain the teachers that have not been getting the reward, again, due to state laws and regulations. So we really need to work on, and nobody will work harder than the PCTA at getting the property tax referendum passed at a full mill, in addition to the fact that it will be supporting some of our lowest paid employees in this county, our support personnel. Thank you for your time.
There are no more speakers for this item, Madam Chair.
Thank you. For item 5.1, may I have a motion for approval of the tentative discretionary local effort millage?
Okay, I'd like to make a motion.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mrs. Cook?
I move that the board approve the levying of the tentative discretionary local effort millage of 0.748 mils as part of the total funding to be certified to the property appraiser and the Florida Department of Revenue.
Thank you. May I have a second? I'll second. Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the levying of a tentative discretionary local effort millage of 0.748 mils as part of the total millage to be certified to the property appraiser and Florida Department of Revenue. We'll take a vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Passes 7-0. May I have a motion for item 5.2, which is adoption of the tentative total millage rates?
I move that the board adopt the tentative millage rate of 5.822 mils to be set and certified to the property appraiser and to the Florida Department of Revenue. The millage rates are as follows. For required local effort, 3.074 mils. For discretionary local effort, 0.748 mils. For local referendum, 0.500 mils. For capital outlay, 1.500 mils. For a total tentative millage of 5.822 mils. This rate is 4.10% greater than the rolled back rate.
Thank you. May I have a second? Second for Mrs. Cook. Is there any board discussion? I have a motion and a second to adopt the tentative millage rate of 5.822 mils to be set and certified to the property appraiser and to the Florida Department of Revenue. The millage rates are as follows. For required local effort, 3.074 mils. For discretionary local effort, 0.748 mils. For local referendum, 0.500 mils. For capital outlay, 1.500 mils. Total millage, 5.822 mils. This rate is 4.10% higher than the rollback rate. We'll take a vote on that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 7-0. Moving on to item 6, I'll turn this back over to Ms. Chastain.
Thank you. This portion of the presentation covers the district's tentative budget for the 24-25 school year. The budget calendar is ongoing throughout the year. During the course of the year, budget updates are provided at the board workshops and monitoring is performed through budget analyses and forecasts. In the spring, we typically have a better idea of what the legislative budget is providing for the district, whether we can expect an increase or a decrease in state funds. Budget steering committee meetings are held during this time frame, primarily for capital outlay requests. And in July and September, we hold 2 public hearings regarding the budget and millage, and tonight is the first of those hearings. The second will be held September 10th. Certain parameters guide the building of the budget. We strive to and have been able to maintain a 63-37 ratio. This means at least 63% of all expenses are for direct instruction or in the classroom, and 37% are related to other areas such as instructional support, plan operation, and administration. In short, at least 2/3 of all funding goes towards expenditures in the classroom. We are required by statute to maintain a minimum 3% contingency, while district policy states we are to maintain a minimum 5% contingency. This budget maintains our compliance with the district policy. We also budget to support our core curriculum and strategic directions. The majority of our budget is in our general fund. This year it is proposed to be approximately $1 billion. The second largest funding source is capital outlay at $272 million. The district's self-insured health fund is anticipated to be approximately $199 million and represents the district's third largest fund. The total proposed budget for all funds this year is approximately $1.7 billion. Looking at the budget summary for all revenue sources, you see that about 65% of the total budget comes from the general fund. Capital outlay accounts for approximately 16%, and the combined total of these two funds comprises 81% of our entire budget. The new year brings several legislative changes. The base student allocation, or BSA, increased to $5,330.98. This is an increase of $191.25, or 3.7% over last year's BSA. Statewide, funding increased by $1.8 billion, or $50.9 million to Pinellas, which includes funding related to family empowerment scholarships. Changes in the Florida retirement system contribution rate are projected to increase district expenditures by $300,000. The teacher salary increase allocation increased $202 million, or $39.3 million to Pinellas County Schools. A $40 million statewide increase has been appropriated for safe schools, and the increase to Pinellas is $1.3 million. The state-funded discretionary supplement of $616 million has been obligated to mitigate the impacts of family empowerment scholarships on the district's funding. This is a non-recurring funding source. Total operating fund resources are anticipated to be approximately $1 billion. Of that, about $667 million comes from local sources, which includes the half-mil referendum. $280 million comes from the state resources. The Florida Education Finance Program, or FEFP, is the general fund's primary funding source. The FEFP funding formula utilizes a combination of state and local resources to fund education. Looking at the operating revenue budget graphically, you will note that the local sources represent about 62% of the total operating budget. State sources account for approximately 26%, and the remaining 12% comes from transfers and fund balance. The operating budget is used to fund the day-to-day operating expenditures of the district. It pays for salaries and benefits, supplies and materials, textbooks, student transportation, utilities, maintenance, and repairs. Viewing the distribution of our operating budget by object, there is little change from previous years. About 58% of our budget is spent on salaries and 23% on benefits. In total, 81% of our operating budget goes towards staffing. Capital outlay funds include revenue from both state and local sources. This fund reflects the revenue and expenditures for construction and renovation of school buildings and grounds. The majority of these funds are generated by the local capital improvement millage, which is set by law and limited to 1.5 mils. These funds may not be used for operating purposes. Rather, they may only be used for capital outlay purposes as advertised. Additional funds have been provided through a Certificate of Participation, or COPS bonds. The lease purchase financing of capital improvements through the issuance of COPS bonds is a technique frequently utilized by Florida school districts to finance school facilities. An updated capital outlay plan and facility work program will be brought to the board for review in the near future. Changes will include the addition of the 2028-29 school year. The district's proposed capital outlay budget is approximately $272 million. The budget reflects $215 million in new revenue and $250 million in proposed appropriations. The special revenue budget is comprised of two major categories of federal funds: contracted programs and food service. The total contracted program budget is approximately $8.5 million, and this budget starts off low and builds as the year goes on, as we do not recognize the revenue until it is available. And included in this category are the remaining balance of CARES and ARP grants, which will conclude at the end of September. Food service is a self-sustaining fund, as it receives no financial support from the operating fund. Federal reimbursement and local collections are the primary revenue source, and the proposed food service budget is approximately $68 million. The debt service fund is used to account for the payment of general long-term debt principal and interest. The $8.5 million budget represents the debt service for COPS bonds issued by the district in 2017 and 2021. The proposed self-insured workers' compensation and liability budget of $5.7 million accounts for the premium revenue and expenditures associated with the district's self-insured workers' compensation and liability insurance programs. The self-insured health funds accounts for the district's premium revenue and claim expenditures with a budget of approximately $199 million. And the proposed budget and all supporting documents are on file in the Office of Budget and Resource Allocation. This information can also be found online. At this point, I will turn the meeting back to the board chair to allow for public comment and the motions necessary to adopt the proposed budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chastain. We'll open for public comment on item 6. Mrs. Hauk, are there any speakers?
Yes, Madam Chair. Our speaker this evening is Mark Clutho.
Thank you.
Mark Clutho, Largo. Well, I hate to sound like a broken record, but, you know, capital outlay tax generate approximately $216 million. And construction and remodeling. I especially like this relocatables. Oh boy. Talk about something you can use that is so inefficient. But, you know, everything you're making is just moving us further along to desolation. You know, I just checked your thermostat set at 73. Comfortable with your coats, aren't you? At our house, the thermostat is set at 78. We don't wear coats. So, look at some of these things here. General administration, $3.7 million. School administration, $71.3 million. And then we have operation of plant, $104 million. Maintenance of plant, $23.9 million. Call it $24 million. And Puke wants to raise the bill. Oh, this is bad, very bad. And the high performance passive solar buildings would be a stronger, better learning environment that really would be preparing for the life of generations to come. And you keep ignoring that science.
Madam Chair, there are no more speakers.
Thank you. Item 6.1, may I have a motion to adopt the tentative budget for 2024-25?
Make a motion. I move that the board approve the tentative 24-25 budget as presented.
Is there a second? Mrs. Cook, second by Mrs. Cook. Is there any board discussion? I would just mention, a tentative budget of $1.6 billion is a lot of dollars, and we take that very seriously, the administration of those dollars. And I want you to know that all of the budget documents are available to you to look at. And if you have any thoughts or input on our budget for this coming school year, we would love to hear from you if you have any ideas. We will have this in our next in our next school board workshop. And then again, we have a second hearing on September 10th. So if you have any ideas between now and then, we would definitely value hearing them. We'll call for a vote. We have a motion and a second to adopt the tentative 2024-25 budget as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? It passes 7-0. Item 6.2, may I have a motion for establishing the date, time, and place of the second public hearing?
I make a motion. I move that the second public hearing on the 2024-25 district budget be held on September 10th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. in the conference hall of the School Administration Building, 301 4th Street, Southwest, Largo, Florida.
Is there a second? Second from Mrs. Peters. Is there any board discussion? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second to establish the date, time, and place of the second public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Passes 7-0. Item 6.3, may I have a motion for authorizing the submittal of certification of the school taxable value?
Yes, Madam Chair, I move that the board authorize the superintendent to advise the property appraiser of the millage rates, including the required rollback rates approved at the first public hearing held on July 30th, 2024.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second. A second from Mrs. Meyer, a motion from Mrs. Peters. Is there any board discussion on this item? I have a motion and a second to authorize the submittal of the certification of the school taxable value. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 7-0. Are there any additional board actions? Item 7 or item 8, any other considerations and concluding comments? Mrs. Peters?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to echo Ms. Hines' comments about our upcoming workshop. I'm really looking forward to this workshop. I was one of the board members who requested that we have this workshop in between our board meetings so that, our official budget meetings, so that we could gain some more understanding and the opportunity to ask more questions. And now having a new CFO, this is a really great opportunity. And I truly appreciate all the time so far that Mr. Jepson and his team, Mr. Herbeck, he's not here, but there are a lot of people involved in this process. And I just want to thank everybody who has put in all that time so far and more time to come. And I look forward to the information that we are requesting be brought forward at the next workshop. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing no additional business, we will adjourn this meeting. Thank you for being here tonight.